Welcome, 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 welcome to the Teddy Keaton Show here live on HBCU Game Day. This is the winter edition of the Teddy Keaton Show.
Yes.
I am Sylvester Williams. They call me Sly the Sports Guy, and I am joined by the one and only Coach Teddy Keaton. How you doing, Coach?
I'm well. How are you?
Hey, Coach, I'm good, man. I'm slowly getting over my my post-football depression. I know it's coming back to spring ball time, so I'm kind of being re-energized.
Well, I wish I could say the same. The grind don't stop for us.
It don't stop. It don't stop. Clark is always grinding. Well, we're going to jump into it, man. It's the off season, so everybody want to know what in the world is going on in the off season. What are y'all doing? You guys came back from January. When you came back from school in January, what's the program? What does the program look like after the break? You got to kind of figure out who's staying, who's going. How do y'all deal with that?
Well, first of all, from November to January 27th is usually that period that the players have to have a mandatory break from championship to non-championship season. So now we have transitioned into non-championship season. We spend a lot of time recruiting. So that's our own year all the way around the clock, all the way up until signing day in February. So we're working on that. And we're also creating our phases of how we're going to break winter workouts down and spring ball down. So we go in the first two phases, which is nothing but workouts, and try to get the kids ready for, we spent a lot of time getting bigger, faster, and stronger this off season. And now we're going into the third phase, which is now we're going into mat drills. Mat drills come in, so we go outside. We do a lot of running and conditioning, and we're getting them prepared for our fourth phase, which is spring football.
All right, now you talk about these winter workouts. Now, what you got? What's a winter workout for a Clark Atlanta Panther? Give me a little bit behind the curtain. What y'all doing there?
Well, we're gonna break them down. And first of all, when we end the season, we test them.
Okay.
So once we test them, we try to figure out where they at and what areas can we improve on and getting them bigger, faster, and stronger, whether it need to be gain weight, whether they need to get faster, whether they need better mobility, those different things. So we spend a lot of time trying to individualize the kid to help him get better as an individual. So we build customized plans and we try to group them into groups of what areas of people who need the same thing so we can get the most out of our strength and conditioning coach. So we put them into place, get them ready to roll, and then after we get finished with phase 2, we'll test them again, which is about a 4 to 6 week process. We'll test them again to see where they're at, how much they've gained, whether they stayed the same or whether they moved to where we need them to move, and it takes them over into phase 3.
Okay, I see. A lot of, stuff. Some stuff has changed since I played ball, and some stuff still stays the same, man, those winter workouts. One question, though, about the winter workouts, Coach. Are you one of those early morning 5 o'clock winter workout guys, or you let them work out in the afternoon?
Now we have an 8 o'clock class. The first group is at 8, then we have a 10, and then we have a 1 o'clock group. We split them into groups by their class schedule. We don't believe in waking them up before 6 o'clock. These kids nowadays are just built differently. They don't go to bed to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So waking them up at 5 was kind of productive for us last year. So now we kind of moved everything towards the back end of the day where we're getting the most out of our kids.
Okay. Yeah, I did. That 5 o'clock workout, Coach, that was the one for me, that winter workout. I wasn't ready for that one my freshman year when I got to college. All right, so now we through the winter workouts, and then you just wrapped up recruiting season with signing day and stuff like that. Now, Coach, a lot of these coaches nowadays is, let's go to the portal. Let's get some big name people out the portal. People kind of forget about the high schoolers. But, Coach, I saw your signing day. I saw all the stuff on IG and everything. You got quite a few high schoolers, Coach. What's the mentality between choosing high schoolers or portal kids?
Well, my first year there, I kind of shifted a lot of players. I brought a lot of guys with me and a lot of transfers that came with me. So we still have a lot of those guys that's still in the nucleus of place. I think that you have to recruit the high school kids in order to have a foundation. I think if you don't recruit the high school kids and you build off a transfer, it hurts you in the spring. So when you get to the springtime and you're trying to have spring practice, you look up and you got 25 kids out there because all your transfers have either graduated or moved on to another prospective area of their life. I think the high school kid is a part of this new wave of college football, especially at the D2 level. I think that the bigger schools are recruiting amongst themselves. The Power Fives are definitely just taking one Power Five from another Power Five from another Power Five. And being that they get finished signing their kids by December, it leaves a lot of kids left out there with the hope to think that they're going to go to Division I. So now that when they talk about Division I, they go into 1AA. So now you got to let the 1AA kind of filter in there with them and let them fight for them. And then you got to turn around and try to get in there and get some of those kids too. Because once they figure out from the portal that they don't have a match there, you can either wait till the second round of the portal come along, or you can get a fix that you can develop a kid. And I personally, I don't know what everybody else does, but I feel like I could get the best out of a high school kid by getting him in, getting him developed, get a part of what we're doing, and let him grow, and he becomes a system player. Now, how long he stays in that system has yet to be determined, because we do have a new look at what we're talking about in high school football nowadays.
Gotcha. So, hey, for all the high schoolers out there, you know, Coach just broke it down for you. Hey, there's still plenty of opportunities out here, especially on the D2 level if you are a talented player. And one thing I do like about that, or the new wave, you know, the new kind of change, is you're going to find a lot of talented high schoolers who kind of slip through the cracks. You know, kind of 5 years ago, they would have been a surefire D1 prospect, but due to all the transfer portals and, like you said, the Power 5 schools basically just swapping kids, you're going to find some kids who will slip through the cracks, and then their freshman year, they'll end up at your school and they can walk on the field and start playing if everything works out for them.
Well, I'm looking at D2 now as more so of a developmental league. We're the guys that's going to have to recruit the division, the high school kid. And you're absolutely correct. There's some kids that basically my whole signing class, any of those guys in that class could have absolutely played at least 1AA. But they didn't have that opportunity because no one was recruiting them at that level. So when you put that much effort into it, and I lost 4 kids in the signing class, and I lost all 4 of them to a Division I school. Western Carolina, Murray State, Sacramento State, and another, I forget the other school. It was 2 to Western Carolina. You think about that, and that lets you know that obviously you're doing a really good job of recruiting, and people are following in behind you to see what type of players you're trying to get. Or you can say that that kid was very well qualified to go there in the first place. They just didn't get whatever they thought they were going to get, whether it be a transfer or through the transfer portal.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of kid are you looking for when you sit down to recruit a kid and bring him to Clark Atlanta University? What kind of kid are you looking for?
First of all, you got to be a good student. I mean, to get into Clark Atlanta, you got to have a 3.3 GPA.
Ooh-wee.
So, I mean, when you go to the door, you know automatically the first thing I'm going to ask is, I got to see his transcript. Second thing I'm going to look at is athletic ability. How long is he, his length, the things that he do, what position I'm looking for him to be at. That's all important. More so, is he a good fit for what we're trying to do? I never sign a kid unsight, unseen. Now with the internet recruiting, and you know, you don't have to do as much of the home visits and get in the car and get on 17, take a road down in that dirt road to the big tree that's on the left to get to his house. Now you got the internet that can do that for you. But I also want everybody to make a visit. I have to talk to him. I got to know where his family come from, who he is. Does he fit into the program that we're trying to establish, or the environment we're trying to create at Clark Atlanta? That's important to me. And I don't know if it's important to everybody, because some coaches I've seen where we might offer a kid and they haven't even seen or talked to the kid, because I'm not going to offer you until I have sit down and we have had a talk. I've seen your transcripts, the whole 9, and you'll see kids, we offer them that night, the next morning they got an offer from some other school. And I just don't get it, how would a person offer a kid and you haven't seen him, hadn't bought him there, you don't know whether he fits your program or not. And that's just becoming the laziness of recruiting nowadays.
Well, Coach, you know, they gotta do that nowadays, because if you offer a kid and then you tell that kid, I want you to come to Clark and visit the campus, those coaches know if that 18-year-old kid walks on your campus on a warm afternoon, it's going to be hard for an 18-year-old young man to say no after walking through Clark Atlanta's campus on one warm afternoon. So,
well, I got to agree with you. You know, I think that our administration, Dr. French and all the VPs and everybody else, they've done a great job creating a culture of where students have the 3 A's that I talk about. You got activity, you got athletics now, and you have education, the academic component of it. And I think when you walk around and you see it and you put it together as a holistic view, you walk away and you're like, wow, what an opportunity I have here. So I think that's why it's hard for a kid to walk away from Clark and say, I don't know if I want to come here, Coach.
Oh, yeah, tough. That's a tough decision when you're 18 years old to say you don't want to be in the middle of downtown Atlanta. Well, now we recruited. Got your recruiting underway. Now you're getting ready for spring ball. You got your returning players here. Those are a lot of those freshmen that you redshirted, your upperclassmen are coming back. What's spring ball and spring practice like at Clark?
Well, it's going to be like it would be at any other place. We have positions that we got battles for. We got the most important position that everybody's going to have their head and eyes and looking for is the quarterback position. David Wright's now exited the building. He's played his last 4 years. Now it's time for the redshirt freshman who was there to step up, and he did a really good job last year being a good backup, learning what to do, how to do it, and why it's important for him to do it that way, giving him an opportunity to sit in the meeting rooms, giving him an opportunity to be through the weight room and just see how it runs as a college program. And now this spring, he's going to have his first, time at being able to control the show.
Yeah, that is a tough blow for Clark Atlanta. They're going to lose David Wright. David Wright, I think, ended up being the all-time leading passer in 2 different programs.
Yes.
So now they're going to lose David Wright, and somebody has to step up. Like you said, you had a redshirt freshman last year who got to observe, got to look behind David, got to get some throws off in practice, got to see what it was like competing against collegiate talent. And so now the show's going to be his in the spring, and you'll see what he can do in the spring. Now, you also lost talented receiver.
Jamal
Jones.
But I have a plethora of receivers, whether the recruiters, the ones we recruited and the ones that's remaining there. So there's a lot of guys that's going to be battling for positions to start. They're coming up on their senior year. You got Ronnie West returning. You got Armand Harris returning. You got Kenny Allen returning. Those guys, it's a lot of guys. Stevens will be back. So we ain't hurting at the receiving core. It's just a matter of, we got our running backs returning. We got 3 or 4 of our linemen that are returning. We only got one spot that we're really fighting for, and that's the tackle spot to fill. On defensive line, we got mostly everybody on the defense, linebackers that played there last year. Everybody's returning there. I think we had 19 of the 22 starters. We got 19 of them returning. So we're not in a bad situation. It's just the trigger man situation is obviously, and I don't think we're in a bad situation there, being that not only did we just get, we got a redshirt for 6'4", almost 6'5", 220 pounds. He got a nice arm. He can throw it and he can run. He's a dual threat quarterback. And then you turn around and we signed a kid out of Houston named Akil Scott, who is a tremendous football player out of Austin, Texas, And then you turned around and we signed another kid that was behind David Wright at Tampa Bay Tech from Zephyr Hills, Xavier Jackson, and he's another guy that's going to come in and also add value to that quarterback room. And we'll see how it goes. We're going to first up and polish our guy that we had there, which is the main important position that we feel that we need to do. And in the secondary, we got to replace Dalil, who is our leading, DB back there. I think we got a lot of prime candidates. One in particular is the kid we signed from out of Grayson High School. He was is the MVP of the state championship game. He's a little undersized, but he could cover with anybody in the country, locked down some of the best receivers. He played well all year. He just was kind of overshadowed because he wasn't long enough. He didn't, meet the height requirements that was there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, especially on the D2 level, you find a lot of guys that don't really fit into that mold, but they end up being dogs. They end up being the ones you talk about. You talk about Grayson High School. The kid's name just escaped my mind, but he went to Benedict 2 years ago, played receiver, was the explosive receiver as a freshman. Then he ended up following Coach Berry to South Carolina State and ended up being first team All-MEAC. Now he's going to Stanford, I think. And I cannot remember the young guy's name.
I remember who you're speaking on, but I don't know his name.
I can't think his name, but that's what happens though. You have a guy who can play, but according to all the metrics and everything, he's not 6'4".
That's right.
He's 5'10", 5'11", but hey, he's a player. So you see a lot of that. You see a lot of that on the D2 level. Now, we talked about some of the people you expect to step up during spring ball. Now, this is a question that I kind of want to know selfishly. Are you going to have a spring game?
Well,
I'll put you on the spot on that.
It's not really a spring game. It's more of a spring practice. We do a little scrimmaging amongst ourselves in a squad, but it's very difficult to get teams to come in and to want to do it. But we got a little something on the horizon that we may do a practice against Morehouse. Just to give us a chance to go against someone, give them a chance to get to go against someone. To the fans, everybody else, it's a rival, but to us, it's more of a how can we get better to make our league and our prospective teams better, because that's been put in place by the NCAA that you can have a scrimmage or a practice with another collegiate team.
Okay.
So with that being put in place, that with a school that won't cost us no money, we can go right across the street. We can do it year in and year out, and that's an opportunity for us to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, now, Coach, I'm all about throwing out suggestions. Now, Coach, I'm about throwing out, especially when it's on somebody else's wallet, on somebody else's dime. I throw out a suggestion. For the annual Clark Atlanta spring football game, we need to have Team Sly versus Team Jamie Walker. We're going to let Jamie go and pick people from Clark's team, and I'm going to pick people from Clark's team, and me and Jamie will do the coaching. At least we'll have a headset, and we'll walk up and down the sideline.
I'm okay with that.
And we'll play against – my Clark Atlanta Panthers will take on Jamie Walker's Clark Atlanta Panthers, and that's the spring game, Coach. I want you to put it out there. Put it out there. Dr. Durrell, Dr. French, all that. Put it out there. You don't have to pay me a lot. Just.
That's above my pay grade. So you mentioned the right names. The conversation needs to start with Dr. Drew, and I'm sure that he'll sit down and he'll have a conversation with you about what you're suggesting here. But I'm sure it's a little bit above his pay grade, so we will have to get that up the food chain, and I don't know if we got enough recs in right now to get you on the docket for Panther Fest this year. That's what it's called.
Okay.
We're having a big day around Panther Fest. Is going to be for our students, and we're trying to create school spirit and get them to know their players, know the team, know everything that's going on with our program. We're just trying to, as you can see, we just had For the Love of CAU here at CAU. Dr. Drew, one day we're going to have Dr. Drew on the show so he can speak. Just let them know what we're doing. We're above 600 in all athletics in the midway point, and that's the first time in school history that Clark Atlanta in all sports has been above the 600 win marks. More teams than competed for championship. The girls and the boys basketball team both won the division. The women's won the regular season SIAC title. That's big stuff for us here at Clark Atlanta. I think that under the leadership of Dr. Drew and all the other head coaches that's putting in countless hours of work to get it done, and Dr. French has always been a visionary leader. I think that's why we chose to come here. I think he's done all the things he could do to get all the resources in places to help us put the charge to turn Clark Atlanta into an athletic school. And I think he's well on his way to proving that.
Exactly. A lot of big things with that basketball, especially with the basketball tournament coming up right now. Clark Atlanta, their women's team, are like right on the verge of top 25 in the nation. So they're doing a lot of great things over at Clark Atlanta. We didn't go over this during the pregame, during our little pre-show talk, but the schedule. You guys got the schedule out? Is it finalized?
It's finalized, and the one surprise you're going to see is Clark Atlanta's taking a big step, and I think it's a real huge step. We'll go to Birmingham for the Labor Day Classic, and we'll face off with the Valdosta Blazers.
The Valdosta Blazers. That's going to be a huge game. It's the Birmingham Classic. They'll have it in Birmingham, and at Legion Field, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be at Legion Field. You guys will play Valdosta, and also I think another game, Miles will play West Georgia or Fort Valley.
It's going to be Fort Valley going to play West Georgia. West Alabama.
West
Alabama, and Miles is going to Canton to play Virginia Union.
Yes. So that game in Birmingham, Alabama, that should be an interesting one. A doubleheader, Fort Valley versus West Alabama, and Clark Atlanta versus Valdosta. Now, Valdosta, they'll have a new coach coming in, fresh off of right there at the national championship game. So that should be an early test to figure out what you guys really have this year. Are you ready for the big time?
I don't necessarily know if it's an early test. I think that all of us will be at the same level right there at that time. Mm-hmm. We'll both be learning our teams. He's a new coach. We have all us got new players, I think, every year. And I like to make this clear to everybody. What you did last year has no pending on whatever happened this year. Mm-hmm. What I did yesterday don't have no pending on what I'm going to do today. If I was playing golf and I went out and I shot 81 yesterday, that doesn't mean I'm going to come back in day 2 and shoot 81 again. And that's why they have the PGA tournament over 3 days, because each day is going to lead to another day. And you can have one disastrous day, you mess up. So I try to tell our kids, and we've been talking about it every day, quit thinking about you played for the championship last year. That's over with. That's sipped and sailed. We're done with that. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get better as individuals to add and contribute to whatever we're going to do for next season. Mm-hmm. So we're always working to get better. And I think every kid has bought into that philosophy of learning what to do, how to do it, and why it's important for them to do it that way. I tell the kids all the time, winning is a culture. Losing is a culture. Mm-hmm. To undo losing take a lot harder to undo winning. But to go from winning to losing don't take much, because now you're the hunted. Mm. Everybody's got the target on your back. Everybody's talking about Clark Atlanta this, Clark Atlanta that, Clark Atlanta this. Clark Atlanta got to be taken care of and put the earmuffs on, take the noise away, let them talk. But we got to be working. Mm. And I think our kids have bought into that philosophy. They understand that a lot of kids going to have an opportunity in spring ball to compete for some spots. It's some freshman kids that the last year we had over, that class was 60% freshmen, and over 50% of them played and got actual snaps and games to be able to contribute to some of the wins. Matter of fact, if you go back to the Bethune-Cookman game, we played almost every freshman we dressed that game. Yep. In those games, they played significant snaps. That's when Eric Searcy broke out of the eggshell, and everybody in the world knew who Eric Searcy was. The kicker was a freshman. The other linebacker was a freshman. A matter of fact, all 3 linebackers were a freshman. And I thought they did a tremendous job. So now those guys are now taking on roles to become starters, become significant impacts in our defense. And we got some areas on defense that's probably going to be more challenging than it is on offense, because we got a secondary that we really need to address to make sure we get those issues. And we got some D-line issues that we needed to make sure that we get better pass rush. And I think leading off with a Valdosta, I think in order for you to be the best, you got to play the best.
Exactly.
And it's the first time, and I know in SIAC, Gulf South, in a Labor Day Classic. Then you got the CIAA Challenge that's going on up north. And all of our teams are, look at what we're doing in Super Regional 2. We're all playing each other because they have significant value in your placement to go to the playoffs and being able to have quality points against quality teams. It does us no good to play a Florida Memorial or any of those schools. Yes, we're going to get a victory there, but it doesn't help us for the challenge to be able to do what we need to do. And I'll segue into that about the Florida Memorial, which is actually the second game on our schedule, which was intentionally going to be the first game of the schedule. But NAIA will have a better shot at getting better players now than Division II because of the new rules. Division II is almost in a segue by itself now. It's kind of standing alone and doing things that benefit Division II schools. So NAIA kind of adopted some of the properties that Division I adopted, which will allow some of those kids to be able to go down and be able to play immediately. I'll give you an example. So now the junior college kid, now he don't get no years of eligibility if he came to Division II. The only way that 1 year of eligibility he gets back in Division One, he's getting that at Division One. But at NAIA, they took the same rule Division One had, so now he got an extra year to play. So would I choose Division Two, or would I opt down to go play NAIA? So I think that those are things that's being constantly discussed in the new landscape of college football. Those meetings are happening by the day to figure out what's best for each one, to not mirror what I call the big leagues, because you can't play if you don't have no money.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to learn to be able to adjust your program to what it is. So when I hear coaches and players and people get on there and say, well, they playing against the NAIA school. Well, their rules, some of those NAIA programs have a little bit more. I'm an NAIA product, so I know that they have a little bit more than some of our Division II schools have, because they have the resources to be able to give them, and the rules are a little bit more flexible than now what we have in Division II, which further leads me, in my opinion, to believe that Division II is becoming the farm league to raise them, coach them up. That may even be for coaches, players, and everybody that's involved. The better you can do, we'll sweep them up and we'll take them on up, and we keep the farm league rolling, whether it be players, coaches, assistant coaches, and everybody else that's involved.
That is true. That is very true, Coach. Oh man, that's one thing I love about this show. You break some things down that I think the common person or somebody who's not really well versed on a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, you get a chance. What you do, you kind of open, you pull back that curtain a little bit so you can see what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to recruiting and kids and the different rules and stuff that go into collegiate football. So I think that's really cool. But though, you guys will be playing Valdosta State in the Labor Day Classic at Legion Field first Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend. So I want to make sure that all you Clark Atlanta fans head on down 85. Go ahead, check that out. Make sure you support it, because I want Legion Field to be all red and black out there. It should be. Well, I don't know. Valdosta's black too. They wear black.
They're red and black.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, make sure your red and black has Clark Atlanta on it. Make sure it has Clark Atlanta on it. So that should be a great matchup to kick the season off. And then once you play Valdosta, Florida Memorial, you're into your SIAC schedule. So we'll see a lot of the SIAC schools, some of them that you saw last year. And hopefully we can go ahead and what do we like to say? Finish the drill this year, Coach. Finish the drill.
Well, we're going to take it one game at a time. Every win, every loss. I told them we didn't take no losses last year. We just learned lessons. You see some of the players that got a chance to play in some high-volume games. They got a chance to be able to see how fast it could be. Some of them got their first test of just being in the excitement. When you're in high school, you play at 6, 7 o'clock in the afternoon. To get your first game, you start off and it's at 1 o'clock. And there's another element that goes involved that you didn't train for, that you're not ready for. That hot air sucks away from you while you out there trying to run. That quarter is a little bit longer than it was when you was in high school. And when you look up and you say, man, when you're on TV and you got 9 stoppages through the game, and you be thinking like, is this game ever going to end? And if you're playing me, who's a throwing quarterback, we like to throw the ball. I'm slowing the game down even more. So you're talking about that's a lot of snaps, a lot of long days for a kid who 18 years old who just came out. But the significance of that 18-year-old kid being able to play at 18, being able to get a chance to go out and get himself ready, he'll be ready in 2 to 3 years. I'll have a team that I saw in Division I who had no other choice but to take a lot of transfer, because the team had pretty much been broken apart when it got there. So each year, the 2 years he started, he had a lot of transfers. Then he turns around and they go 12-0. And then the very next year, all those transfers leave, and even the players that he had developed left and went to another situation that might have deemed to be better for him, and put him in a situation where he had not enough people to really be. He had to go get a bunch of high school kids to build a foundation for him, which I think this coach is a very good coach. I think he's a great coach. I watched him in his days. I can see it flipping again, but that's the importance of watching. I think you got to hire a coach that can do roster management.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have a NFL mindset to understand that I may have this kid this year, and just like that, it could be all over for me. I might have a great running back, a great receiver, and somebody comes along and just say, pluck, he yours now. Now I got to be prepared or have guys in the hole or in the queue somewhere that I can go over, because believe me, that you might not think so, but everybody that's higher than you are watching you to see what you may have. And if that kid shows an inkling and they need an immediate fix for that kid, and you saw it with the kid that went from Edward Waters to go to Mississippi Valley and turns to be almost player of the year. Now he's got, I think his last year, he's playing at Jackson State. Rembert was a dog when he was at Edward Waters. Then he turns around and he kills the SWAC, and now he's going to a team that probably can help him a little bit more at Jackson State. I mean, what do you expect? That's what a kid's dream is. That I bet you wish you could do that when you were playing in school. So now you got kids opting to just play one season, or even come to your school for one semester just to play. It's just a different piece of work now. The academic component piece is what scares me. Is that even being considerate, because now when the NCAA make a lot of rules, they're usually 2 or 3 years ahead of when the college want to make the rules to change to be able to keep up with NCAA. Because nobody really understands is that the NCAA is just a governing body.
Yeah.
The school dictates what happens. So even if the NCAA rules are here, the college rules is going to supersede whatever it is that the NCAA says.
It's a tough. The new world we live in is a tough world, man. And I get kind of worried for some of the kids with all the transferring and jumping around. It's like you've been to 3 different colleges in less than 4 years, and then eventually the ball's gonna stop bouncing. Is it gonna stop kicking or whatever? You're gonna have to get a real job. You're gonna have to graduate college one time, and you kind of wonder, are you even prepared to graduate? Once you use up your eligibility, you won't even be prepared to graduate.
I think that some of them are going to be so far behind and we won't be able to tell. And it's just me forward thinking. I think some of them are going to be so far behind that we're going to have to relook at the model from each institution to institution of how many transfer hours that they're going to take. So, some schools say, well, this discipline and this discipline and this discipline. Well, now a kid either going to have to make a choice to stay at that institution, or they're going to have to make a decision to be able to say, we're going to take this many transfers, so that as much as he transferred, at least he had on the progress of the path towards graduation. Or he's going to be in school an extra 2 or 3 years just trying to get a degree.
Well, I don't know. I hope they can figure it out. I hope the NCAA and the colleges can come together and figure it out, because technically you are a student before you're an athlete. So we hopefully they can figure that out. Well, gave you a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on so far this spring at Clark Atlanta University, getting ready for spring ball. We just wanted to bring you guys in for a quick little update on the Teddy Keaton Show to let you know everything that's going on at Clark Atlanta University in the football side of things. Well, it has been my pleasure to have the one and only Coach Teddy Keaton here. I am Sylvester Williams. They call me Sly the Sports Guy. Our super producer in there, Miles, we appreciate you producing it. This is the Teddy Keaton Show here on HBCU Game Day. We'll see you next time.